And the
The
struggle
struggle
too.
and Liverpool.
Talk about these damn shouters.
Well, look,
What are you telling me, huh?
look, man.
Huh?
Liverpool just got beat.
Diego Jota this.
Liverpool just got beat.
Darwin Nunes that. He's pants, bro. And you know what? He did humble me because since this guy got here, I've been chatting a lot of shit on his name. Yeah. And he scored. But we won, so I don't care. You know what I mean?
So is he
um,
still pants then? Do you
yeah.
still think he's a
Nah, he's still
Uruguayan
pants,
donkey?
bro. He is a Uruguayan Andy Carroll. You've heard me say it numerous times. This guy, well, Andy Carroll did play for Liverpool, or am I
He
mistaken?
did, yeah, he did.
Yeah, like honestly, give it a year, maybe two. You'll hear Liverpool fans.
Well, look,
But yeah, man, I think he's suffering from Nicolas Pepe syndrome. You know,
mm,
like come in, like you had a good season abroad. You come in off the back of big money. You don't really fit the system that you're playing in, but you're probably a half decent player, but a confidence player
mm,
nonetheless. You've not hit the ground running, and now people are onto you like a rash. And
mm.
it's not going to stop unless you hit some kind of amazing form, which I just don't see it doing. Like, for example, the other day when they were playing against Rangers, this guy was missing chance after chance after chance. Man. It gave me Timo Werner vibes. I'm not gonna lie, it did. It did.
Welcome back to Football Guru Show. I'm Curtis. Today we've got Anthony and the snake Steve is missing. He's out with his mates on a Sunday evening. He has neglected the podcast this week, but he should be back next week. So this week it's just the two of us.
Absolutely
No
no
commitment at
clue.
all. It's poor from him, really. It's poor from him. But
It is, it is, it
he
is.
should
You
be
should
fine.
be
In fact, we're
fine.
going to have to
Honestly.
start bringing in Football Gurus fans because this
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
behavior it can't become a recurring thing. But you know.
100%.
But fortunately, we've got the best two John Cyruses on the pod today, which is all you need. So, um,
Mm.
obviously, I'm Curtis. That's Anthony. He is our resident
Gassed up,
gassed up
staying
gooner.
gassed up.
Liverpool have just been defeated 3-2 by Arsenal. How are you feeling?
Uh, I feel, I feel really good, right? But less so about the result and more so about the fact that it's a statement. Over the course of the season so far, I've been like, oh yeah, we need a statement win. We need to go and put 3 or 4 past this team. We need to slap up Tottenham, or we need to get a result away at Man United. Because those are the kind of statements that show to the rest of the league that we're here to be
Mm.
taken seriously. And I think that this result, given our history against Liverpool, and given the fact that we always get slapped by them, this has sent a message out to the rest of the team that we're a serious team and we're here to
Yeah.
stay.
No, I agree. I think it was definitely a message. I think as I was saying to Dad before we were filming while we were watching the game, I was saying that if Arsenal were
Mm.
to lose this game, it almost negates that win against Tottenham. Tottenham won yesterday, moved to within a point
Yeah.
of Arsenal. If you then go and lose to Liverpool the next week, it's almost like what was the Tottenham win for? So brilliant win, brilliant win. But we will.
Mm. But I think just on that, really I think even a draw would have left me. I would have taken it because of
Mm,
yeah, a draw would have left me dissatisfied. I said that
yeah,
before the
yeah.
game as well. So I think a win was everything that we needed, and now we can kick
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, we will be talking about Liverpool a little bit later in the show. But before that, we have a few other topics that we'll be running through today. So, to start off, we're going to start off with the relegation battle, talking about who's in the relegation fight, which teams are kind of just there at the moment based on form, but we expect them to pull away as the season progresses. Then we will be talking about Liverpool in a little bit more detail, especially after the defeat today. What does the season look like for them now that they're currently 10th in the Premier League and 14 points off Arsenal in top position? So, not a great start to the season for them. We'll be talking about Newcastle being a threat for European football. and then we'll do our weekly round of predictions and give you an update on the predictions league at the end of the show. For those who may have caught the first episode, don't worry, Steve did send in his predictions for the week. So even though he's not here, we've got his predictions as well. Anyway, let's start with the relegation battle. So, Anthony, I'm going to read you the current teams in the relegation zone, and then I'll give you the teams, the like next 3 or 4 teams above that. And
I mean,
all
I'm
right, well, for
looking,
sake of the
I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to make my thoughts go out. But for the sake of the
yeah, for the
pod,
sake of the viewers,
let's
let's run
discuss
through
it.
it anyway. So you've got Forest who are bottom, Nottingham Forest
Cool.
are bottom, 4 points from 8 games,
Hmm.
minus 15 goal difference. Leicester second bottom,
Yeah.
4 points from 9 games, minus 9 goal difference. Obviously they battered Forest earlier in the
Yeah.
week. You've got Wolves who are finish off the relegation zone, 6 points from 9 games, minus 9 goal difference, and they obviously sacked their manager the other day. Southampton are a point ahead of
Yep.
them on 7 points in 9 games. Then Villa are a point ahead on them on 8 points in 8 games. That's a bit of a surprise. And then Palace are 15th,
Yeah.
a point ahead of Villa, 9 points in 8 games. And then Leeds are on the same amount of points with 9 points from 8 games as well. So it's all very like tight
Okay.
down there, as you can expect. The season's only just
It
started.
is. It is.
But
It is.
out of those teams, I should say, who do you think are your favourites to go down based on the start to the season?
Out of just those
I mean, if you
teams,
think there's another team that you think are favourites to go down, then by all means let me know. But
I do. I do. So my bottom three, which I'm predicting, I think Nottingham Forest will go down and I'll stay bottom.
so they're your favourites.
Yeah, they're my favourites to go down. Also, it's shocking that they gave Steve Cooper a new 5 year
Yeah,
deal. Did you
bit of a
see that?
weird one. Very weird timing.
Yeah, I mean, like I can kind of see. I reckon they probably just accepted that they're going to go down and maybe try and do what Norwich do, where they kind of bounce up and down
Mm,
between the league. But maybe they have a plan to actually solidify a proper championship
mm.
team to come. You know, I don't know how things could play out. Above that, it's tough. I mean, it's the relegation zone, so I think these clubs will go down. But I think it's a toss up between these next two. But just because they're in the relegation zone at the moment, I think I'm going to go with Wolves.
Mm.
Uh, they just don't score enough goals for me,
Yeah,
honestly. And they've lost Connor Cody as well, so they're not as hard to beat as they were before. So I think they'll really, really struggle this season unless they add some big pieces in January. I don't see them staying up. And lastly, I know they're doing quite well right now, but they're only 3 points behind above the chasing pack, and some of those teams do have a game in
mm.
hand. I think Bournemouth, they could be in pretty big trouble. Again, I just don't think that they've got the squad and the quality to stay in the Premier League. You know,
Yeah. I mean,
like Solanke is not a Premier League goal scorer. He's not a Premier League striker. He doesn't score enough goals for me. Their defense is very, very, very leaky. So I think they're in
mm,
trouble. As for some of the other teams that you mentioned, I'm just going to quickly blow by them. Leicester, I think they're too good of a team to stay up. Southampton, I think they'll be in trouble, but they've got some good young players. They're the team that I kind of want to
mm.
believe in to push through this season. Villa, big trouble. I think they'll just escape it by the skin of their teeth again because they've got the quality. Gerrard not proving to be as great a manager as he seemed at
Mm.
Rangers. I think Palace are fine. I think Leeds are fine. And I was actually quite shocked because early doors I had them tipped for relegation, but it seems like the pieces that they brought in are very good pieces. Like what's his name? What's that guy? His last name starts with
Um,
not Stroy. Anyway, I'll get to it. But yeah, and then like everyone above them, like West Ham, Everton, Brentford.
yeah. I
I
mean,
think Bournemouth are going
I
to get sacked.
think it's difficult to tell on Bournemouth because obviously new manager bounce and like whenever a
Yeah,
manager gets sacked and obviously Gary O'Neill, ex QPR player, might have just had took a red card for the team in the playoff finals. But yeah, Gary O'Neill, he's temporary manager. They've got a bit of a bounce back. I mean, it couldn't have got much worse than it was under Scott Parker. And to be fair, I know a few Fulham fans who reckon that Parker isn't a very good manager at all. So I
yeah,
reckon that
yeah, it's
squad
true.
are better than they looked at the start of the season, just because I don't think Parker had them playing the right way. So I want to see a few more games from Bournemouth before I'm really able to know what they're all about. The Forest
Ooh,
2-1
2-1
United.
United.
Okay, well that has some implications
Yeah,
for our
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. See that's my guy, bruv. Anyway, but yeah,
Go on.
so I think Forest. I always expected Forest to be towards the bottom of the table purely because I like some of the signings that they've made, and I know they've chucked a load of money at it, but they are falling victim of QPR syndrome, which is buy a
Yeah,
load
for
of
sure.
players, like 15, 16 players, splash a load of money and like completely revamp your team all in one transfer window, and it never
Yeah,
works.
yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
never ever ever works,
Ever,
and it's just
never.
like
Can't
I
think of a
can't.
single team. Maybe
But
Wolves when they first came
I
up and
don't think
bought
they've done
you
like
know these
16
players.
players. Like if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
buy
that's true.
eight players, yeah,
Definitely under 10.
yeah, if you buy eight players, realistically, maybe five of them are first team players, and then three of them are probably bought to be on the bench and in the rotation anyway. So that
Yeah,
to me is not
yeah,
too
yeah.
bad. When you're buying 16 players, yeah, that's essentially nine like first team players and then a whole new bench as well. Like it's too much. Like there's no chemistry, there's no continuity. So I always felt that Forest were going to struggle this season, not because they did bad business, but they did too much business, which in a way is bad business as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree
so
more. Who's your number two
so
then?
I think my number two, looking at the table, I don't honestly. I've not liked the football that Leicester have been playing, and I think the issue that
Yeah,
Leicester have is like now defensively they look shot. Like they don't have
yeah,
any
yeah,
solid
no, for
defenders
sure.
in there at the moment who
Not at all.
really look
Not
like
at
they're
all.
gonna like grab the game by the scruff of the neck and like like dig out
Mm,
results. Like they don't have your
mm,
Wes Morgans in
yeah,
there,
yeah,
your prime Harry Maguires. Even like Fofana was a different type of
yeah.
player, but very good defender.
Nah, but
Um,
like when like kind of like when the Turkish brother, what's his
Sionchu.
name? Sionchu, when he was kind of in his prime,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
just
yeah. Like it just
solid.
and
They don't look solid
yeah,
at
and
all.
that's what Leicester have been over the last 5 years. Like they've had their good attacking players, but they've just
Five.
what
I
were we
think five.
2016? What's 2016 like 6 years ago? So 6 years then over the
Yeah.
last 6 years.
Nah, but I think over the last two, three, maybe nah, I'd even say only the last two. I think this is a bad team
No, no, no. I'm
defensively.
talking about no,
Before,
no. So I'm saying over the last 6 years, give or take a bad season,
mm,
especially last season. But like for the most
mm.
part, over the last 6 years, they've been a defensively solid team. Like that's been their
Yeah, yeah,
characteristic.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I
I
meant. Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
I agree.
And now they don't have that, which is why they're struggling. The other thing
Mm.
is like now we've seen that Jamie Vardy has fallen off a cliff, right? Like
Yeah,
he's far
yeah.
past his prime.
Mate, it's because his missus. It's because his missus is a snitch, bro.
Yeah. His missus got him involved in all this stupidness, bruv. And now people are
Literally,
like,
man's head
yeah,
getting,
yeah, yeah. Bruv, you know
arguing.
them arguments back at home are getting intense, bruv. Like, man's just vexed, she's
Oh yeah,
distracted
yeah.
him. Like,
15 mil, 15 mil. You think I'm paying 15
trust me,
mil?
bruv, trust me. That's his whole Premier League winners bonus and then some on top, bruv. Like, he's fuming, bruv. He's fuming. But no, look, I think Jamie Vardy not being the guy he was, and you've got Iheanacho and Daka, who are good
Mm.
players on their day, but
Yeah,
they're good
yeah,
players
yeah,
on their
yeah.
day,
They're
but they're
very
so
inconsistent.
inconsistent. And so Madison's
Mm.
coming back into a bit of form, which is good for them. They need that.
Yeah,
But
and
I just
yeah,
don't think they have the
yeah, go on.
pieces that they've previously had to make themselves successful. So I think they're in trouble this season.
Yeah, I agree. Really quickly with that, two things actually. Number one, I feel like the reason I think they'll stay up is just because. the other teams that I mentioned don't really have a superstar to allow Liverpool score them wonder goals to get them points.
Mm, mm.
Whereas I think I think Leicester do have like a couple pieces, but the main reason why I think they'll stay up is because at some point they'll inevitably sack Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
A new manager bounce from that.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I've been hearing that Leicester. This is just through papers and Sky Sports and all the rest of it. But I've been hearing that Leicester are
Yeah,
in like fairly bad financial trouble at the moment, which is obviously not ideal. And I think that might put off prospective managers. Like if you know there's no money there
okay,
to revamp the squad, then
right,
who's really
right.
going to take that job if you're in the relegation zone. You're not going to get like a high profile overseas manager, so you're probably looking at
Mm.
like a UK based manager, which might be what they need.
Yeah, it's true.
But
Yeah, well, they need. I think if they're in that kind of situation, they need like a young, hungry manager who can prove themselves. But not everyone's a Mikel Arteta, so
do
hard to find
you know what,
them.
man? I'll let you have them ones at the moment because
Let
Arteta
me
is
talk my
flying.
shit,
He's
man.
flying. But yeah, to round off my relegation candidates, and then we can move on. Um, I'm. Do you know what? I think it has to be Wolves, like you said, because Wolves
Yeah.
are. They just, as you said, they can't score goals. They just can't score goals. And I mean, having.
Diego Costa's not going to help that
Yeah,
either.
yeah. I mean, Diego Costa, what made him, or not only what made him, but most of what made him a great player back in the day was that he would. Hang on, pause. Yeah, most of what made him a great player back in the day was that he would he bullied defenders physically. He'd throw them around. He
Mm.
was quick. He was strong. He doesn't have that anymore, and he's not. He might give you the odd goal here and there off the bench, but they need some serious revamping of their players in the forward lines.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're
Need some
finished.
star power,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, they really do. They really do.
Mm.
Um,
Same how Jimenez just fell off a cliff like that,
yeah,
innit?
they all came from the injury, didn't it? Like the injury,
Yeah,
man.
it did. But like, you wouldn't think a head injury would like put you out like that.
Yeah, but I suppose he didn't play for what was it, like a year or like 18 months or whatever.
Yeah, well, like yeah, basically the rest of that season.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he came back towards the end, maybe.
Mm.
Pretty much out for the
But
season.
yeah, I guess it's like the lack of football, and then psychologically, like he used to be a guy who was
Mm.
really good in the air. Like, does he really want to compete for those
Yeah,
balls the same?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I get it,
Yeah,
I
I
get
get
it.
you.
But whereas we have a few teams who are struggling down one end of the table, obviously up the other end of the table, we've got
There's struggle
yeah,
too, man.
there's
There's
a
struggle
struggle,
too.
and Liverpool.
Let's talk about these damn scouts.
Well, look,
What are you telling me, huh?
look, man. Liverpool
Huh?
just got beat.
Diego Jota this.
Liverpool just got beat.
Darwin Nunes that. He's pants, bro. And you know what? He did humble me because since this guy got here, I've been chatting a lot of shit on his name. Yeah. And he scored. But we won, so I don't care. You know what I mean?
So is he
um,
still pants then? Do
yeah.
you still think he's a
Nah, he's still
Uruguayan
pants,
donkey?
bro. He is a Uruguayan Andy Carroll. You've heard me say it numerous times. This guy, well, Andy Carroll did play for Liverpool, or am I
He
mistaken?
did, yeah, he did.
Yeah, like honestly, give it a year, maybe two. You'll hear Liverpool fans.
Well, look,
But, yeah, man, I think he's suffering from Nicolas Pepe syndrome.
mm,
Like come in, like you had a good season abroad. Come in off the back of big money. You don't really fit the system that you're playing in, but you're probably a half decent player, but a confidence player
mm,
nonetheless. You've not hit the ground running, and now people are onto you like a rash. And
mm.
it's not going to stop unless you hit some kind of amazing form, which I just don't see it doing. Like, for example, the other day when they were playing against Rangers, this guy was missing chance after chance after chance. Man. It gave me Timo Werner vibes. I'm not gonna lie, it did. It did. So I feel like that's one issue with Liverpool. The fact that he's not providing and he's not scoring. Uh, since Jota has screwed my team so many times, I have to believe that he's going to come good again. But the main thing for me anyway is the fact that Liverpool have lost their killer.
Mm.
Salah he's a non-factor anymore,
I
isn't it?
completely
Because
agree because the way he did
like
well, I mean, he got subbed off after 70 minutes or something. So
he did, bro.
I think that says
Him and
everything,
Trent
bruv.
gone.
Like
Yeah,
he
man.
was so ineffective today. And do you know what? I think
Mm.
a couple of weeks ago you said, in fact, on episode 1, you said to me and Dad that Salah is finished and he's suffering from
Mm-hmm.
Ozil syndrome after getting that
Yeah.
350 grand a week contract or whatever he's on.
I said it here
And do you know
first,
what?
people.
I told you to your face that you were having a stinker. And whilst I think that he's not finished in the sense that it's not like he's not going to hit double figures for Premier League goals,
No,
but
I think he'll move like how Banyang
yeah,
did. I call it Ozil, but Banyang's a closer
by his
reflection.
normal standards, he is not looking good. And I think more than the most worrying thing for Liverpool fans must be the fact that he doesn't even look motivated. Like he doesn't even look
No,
like a guy who wants to make
just
something happen.
no. Well, like I think when a player signs a new contract, it's vitally important for him to get off to a good start straight after that
Mm.
contract because all of these voodoos like, oh yeah, no, because all those questions start getting asked like, oh yeah, now that he's got to put money, is he really motivated?
Yeah.
As we're asking now, right?
Mm.
So to put all those kind of thoughts to bed, I feel like you do need to be firing, but his bad form is really off the back of the AFCON. Since he's
Mm.
come back, he honestly just hasn't been the same player, man. Like we say it's the contract, and I feel like that is a part of it because this is probably going to be his last big contract.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's now that he's already got it, it's not going to be too deep for him. Yeah, but I don't know, man. He just doesn't. He's not the same guy, and I don't think he will.
But do you, d
He'll get like 10, 11 goals this season.
yeah, it will be. Do you know what though? I think that
15 at max.
I think it might seem like a bit of a cop out to just say, oh well, Mane's gone, but I honestly think that Mane not
It's not
being
the
in that
problem, man.
team is such a huge issue because it
Nah,
it's
nah,
just
yeah, nah, nah.
he
He's
the way that he occupies defenders or he occupied defenders when he was at Liverpool, it allowed like it meant that they couldn't focus on Salah as much and Jota as much. And I think that
yeah,
like he
yeah.
could really, when he was in his pomp and he was on having a good day, he's occupying both the fullback and the centre half. So do you know what
Yeah,
I mean? So
yeah,
he's
on
taken
that
up
left,
two
on
of the
that
back
right
four,
side,
and
on the
then
left side,
so
yeah.
the other two playing up front for them essentially have 1v1s, you know? So Salah could just run at
Yeah, yeah,
man
yeah.
1v1, so could Jota, like he could.
And if they double up on him, there's space in the middle for Jota
Exactly,
or
exactly. So it just completed like it's like to have a truly terrifying front three, like they need to all be guys who like really and truly both all three of them deserve like double the attention, like two like you need to double up on all of
Mm,
them, but they don't really have that
mm.
anymore. Like don't get me wrong, I think Darwin Nunez have played really well today, and I know you say he's a Uruguayan donkey, but I think he played really well.
You actually think
He
he
did.
played?
He
You
did. He
really think
did.
he
Look,
played really
I
well?
think
Really well?
really well,
Listen,
really well.
he
He was
put
Liverpool's
himself
only
about.
threat.
Well,
He was
nah.
Liverpool's only threat. The runs he
Yeah,
made
yeah,
in
that's true.
behind
That's true.
were like. Don't get me wrong. Part of it is by Gabriel's awful defending. Like he did not defend well today, and he made Nunez
Do you know
look
what?
better
Like,
than what he should have done today.
yeah.
But
Funnily enough, though, for Liverpool's second goal, it's the first time I've seen Saliba make a mistake.
for the second goal.
'Cause
Oh no, that's not
yeah,
that's not. Oh yeah, sorry, no, you're right. Yeah, it was Saliba's mistake. Yeah, he needed to drop
yeah,
into that space.
stepped
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right.
Instead of stepping
Yeah,
inside,
yeah,
you should have stayed goal side of the
yeah,
goal.
you're right. He yeah,
But like, imagine like literally just one step,
yeah. He just
he's in.
he
That's the Premier League for you, and I'm sure he'll learn from that.
yeah.
But yeah, you were right. Like Darwin Nunes was their main threat, right? But honest to God, Curtis, that whole game, I was not worried about him, man, because I couldn't see a world where they fire the ball into him. He's got like one or two players on his back,
Mm.
like really trying to get the ball off him, and he does something to break the press and they're in. You know, I wasn't scared. Yeah, he got on the end of the ball and fair play to him. I'll take that. He scored and he shut me up for that. minutes. But uh, he's like, yeah, I don't know about this guy, man. He's
I
suspect.
don't know, man. I think he looked.
And speaking
Mhm.
of, sorry, speaking of suspect, I know on week one I said Trent's not a liability at the back. He's just a bad defender, but he's not a
Mm.
liability. I would now like to I'd like to hold my hands up and formally apologise to both you and Dad and all of the viewers at home for my absolutely god awful take. He, his level of unawareness, it honestly gives me shades of Mustafi. Like this guy was in nowhere. He was in no for that first goal, no man's land, just
Mm.
coasting. For that second goal, I'm a bit soft. I'm a bit soft on him for that because like both the defenders got sent by that check back inside. But
He shouldn't have
realistically,
gone
if
across.
he's the one covering, yeah, exactly. If he's the one covering, he shouldn't be trying to block him going down the line. He should be hanging on.
Mm.
It is bad defending, but fair enough. I also think that's good football from
It
Martinelli.
is. It is.
And well, for the last one, penalty,
Well,
good.
he wasn't on the
But
pitch when the penalty was conceded.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there
But
you
I
go.
mean,
Then.
look, man.
He had,
He had a poor game.
I
He
mean,
did.
yeah,
I'm actually, you know me. I don't think Trent's a great defender at all. I do think he's a liability. I think he
mm,
should play as part of a back five rather than a right back in a back four. But I also think that at the moment
yeah,
his confidence is low, man. And football is a game where confidence is essential. Like a like I always like to go back to the example of Eden Hazard when he had that one down season when he was just poor.
yeah,
You know, he had no
yeah, yeah,
confidence.
yeah,
He
yeah.
wasn't playing like himself. Gets the confidence back. Next season is the best player in the league again. It really
Yeah,
is just down
yeah.
to confidence, and you can see that it's now even started to affect him going forward, where we've never doubted him because he's in bad
Mm,
form, man, and he's not playing well. He's lost a bit of
yeah.
confidence.
Mm,
I still think he's a very good player. I do think some of the criticism of him is a little bit over the top, but that being said,
I
he did
agree,
have a
but
stinker
it's not
today.
untrue
It's not
either.
untrue, but I think it's
Mm,
over the top. Like
mm.
they're not. He's not as
Well,
bad
it
as some
depends on who you're
people
listening
try to
to.
make him out.
It depends on who you're listening to. Like, if you're listening to people like Talksport, of course they're gonna over sensationalize
Mm.
it, and they're gonna picture him out to be a Mustafi level defender, which is just not true.
Mm.
Like he can, at least he's better than that in it. But like you listen to someone like Gary Neville on Sky Sports, right? And he's going into the details of his body shape and how he's defending and
Mm.
defensive intensity, stuff that defenders are supposed to
Mm.
have. But obviously, since he came through as an attacker, it doesn't really. That's not natural for
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, go on.
And to me, it almost seems like he doesn't care, man. Like, yeah, you're a right back, but oh yeah, I'm this amazing player going forward. But and it's almost like he doesn't accept that he's a right back. Like you do need to put in those extra yards defending
Mm.
because as it's looking like now, you're getting run over all over the place. And when as a defender, when you start getting targeted, the only person that's going to get you out of that hole is yourself. And you need to something needs to switch in you to think, no, I'm not allowing this
You're
anymore.
right.
And I think for him, it's his
You're
intensity.
right. You're right. But I do think that I don't know, man. I do wonder sometimes. Like, surely Klopp and his coaching staff must see this, and take a man like Ashley Young. Ashley
It's
Young came
crazy, isn't
through as
it?
a professional footballer as a winger, and then got converted to a fullback when he was what in it like 31, 32, something like that, maybe 28, 29.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's a
yeah.
decent fullback. I'm not saying he's some world beater fullback,
Yeah, it's
but
alright.
he's
Yeah.
okay defensively, you know?
He's prem
Yeah,
level.
yeah, he's a prem level fullback, right?
Which is
Yeah,
very
yeah.
respectable.
Considering you played like half or over half your career as a winger, right? So I know there's
Yeah,
work that
yeah,
they
yeah.
can do with Trent, and ultimately, I think this is going to be a down year for him. And in some ways, I think it might be good for him not to go to the World Cup, just so he can have that experience of like you had a bad year, you're now out of the
Yeah, a
Liverpool
humbling
team,
kind of
you've
thing.
missed the World Cup. Now you got to get your arse in gear
Mm.
and start working on your defending, so that doesn't happen again. So yeah, we'll see
Yeah,
Trent come back, but he
yeah,
had a stinker today. He was at fault for the two goals. But Liverpool had more than ample opportunity to get into that game, and they didn't play well
Yeah.
enough to get to do so. So to wrap up,
Any other
I
talking
was going to
points?
say to wrap up this segment on Liverpool, where do you think they're going to finish this season?
I'm gonna be kind to them and say,
Fifth. Yeah, I think they're falling outside the top four. I think Salah
yeah,
gets 13 Premier League goals. Um, I think Darwin Nunez gets 10. Um, uh,
but Diaz, because he doesn't look as threatening
do
anymore
you
to
know
me.
what though? Do you know
Like at
what
the
though?
start of the season and towards the end, he was their brightest spark, right?
Mm,
But I think in the last three or so games, he looks like he's kind of caught that lazy gene from the rest of the team now. They're not as intense and they're not as effective as they were
but do you
before.
know what? Do you know what I think it is with Diaz? Right? I think that. Well, I think today in the game today he looked Liverpool's biggest threat on the counter alongside Nunez, and obviously he got the assist for Nunez's the first goal. Um,
Mm.
and do you know what? I think he's not gonna be a Mane where he's gonna get you 80, like 15 to 20 Premier League goals. I don't think that's in his
Yeah,
game yet. I'm not saying he can't develop that, but that's not in his game yet, right? Um, but I think he will be a guy who gives Liverpool some impetus because Salah is not playing like a guy who he was when he first got to Liverpool, where he's running at you, he's direct, he's putting defenders on the back foot, and he's playing aggressively all the time. He's not playing like that. Jota's
yeah,
not really that guy. Like he
mm.
can run at people, but again, he's not a like direct, aggressive runner with the ball. He makes really good runs in behind,
Mm.
really good runs into the penalty area,
Mm.
scores goals, can take people
Mm.
on, but that's not like the core foundation that his game is built around. And obviously Darwin Nunez, whilst he can
Yeah,
run the channels and he's got a little bit of pace and he's strong and he's good in the air. Again, he's not a dribbler with the ball. He's a number 9. So Diaz is the only guy in that
mm.
team who's going to get the ball to feet and run at people and be direct and be aggressive with the way that he attacks defenders and puts them on the back foot. So I think that's what we'll see out of him this season, and I think he will prove himself to be a really key part of Klopp's team because yeah, Liverpool need a guy that's direct and has some impetus, and even the young guys coming off the bench like Harvey Elliott and Carvalho, like Harvey Elliott, he's not a guy who's going to
yeah.
run at you. Carvalho looks a good player, but
Nah, Carvalho, he's
yeah, he's
tricky.
tricky.
Yeah, I think he can create stuff for
Yeah,
you.
he can, but I
Um,
don't know. I don't think he's at that level yet where he's just going to be attacking Premier League fullbacks all day, all long. So yeah, I think
we'll
I
see.
think Liverpool to finish outside the top four. I think Diaz will have a good season. Maybe he might even be their player of the season. But yeah, that team needs a serious rebuild, and they need to throw a lot of
They
money at
do.
it.
And what's what's really difficult for him as well is the contract that they've just given
Mm,
Salah.
mm,
So he's going to be there for the next, what is it, like 4 years, 3 years,
yeah,
something
probably
like that,
four. Yeah.
on big
Mm,
money, stinking out the gaff. That's going to be very difficult for them to handle, especially because I think their team needs to get younger
mm,
and just some fresh faces. That one of the big things for Liverpool this season is that they don't have any fresh faces really.
yeah.
Nunez is the only one. Like they brought in what's his name, Arta, who's already injured, hasn't played a game
Yeah.
for them yet. So I mean, they just need the whole squad needs a revamp. Honestly, if I was them, I'd get rid of Fabinho. I'd get rid of Hendo. Just completely change that midfield. If they can get a Jude Bellingham, that'd be brilliant. Maybe one or two more.
Mm.
See if they can get another winger in. But if not, definitely a backup right back. Just to kind of push, get some fresh faces in. I feel like the last thing. I think their midfield is the real.
Yeah, I agree. They need some youth and fresh legs in that midfield. Um,
Mm.
because I mean, like you looked at two players today, similar position. Thiago, obviously, being at Barca, being at Bayern Munich, now at Liverpool, won the Champions League. Has he won the Champions League?
All right, who
Thiago.
did?
He won it at
Thiago.
Bayern, didn't he? The
No,
second time they won it.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, he
yeah, yeah.
didn't. Yeah, no, he didn't win the Champions League.
What, he didn't win it with Bayern?
No, no, he's
Oh
not
yeah,
with
yeah,
Bayern.
no, with
No.
Bayern, yeah, yeah, yeah. So Champions League winner. Obviously, been a great player down the years. But I mean, Odegaard looked a lot better than him today, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I'm just bringing that up to raise the point that I just think it's that youthful.
Actually, do you know what? Yeah, I think Thiago might have been one of Liverpool's best
But
players.
for me, for the
He
level, he
was,
was
he
okay.
was
He was okay, but like
yeah, like, yeah, he
for
was,
the
but like, because the team weren't
yeah,
great,
but for the level that we
was
expect of
so
him and that we expected of him coming in, I don't think he's delivered it yet. And I just think that it's. I think
very
part
true.
of it
I
is
agree.
just that like little bit of. I think Liverpool have the second or third oldest squad in the Premier League, and
Second
they
oldest, yeah,
missed that little bit of like
no fair.
youthful exuberance. That's like
Mm.
like
Hunger,
yeah, just a
Mr.
bit of
Hunger,
hunger, youthful legs,
that
and just
energy,
youthful energy.
yeah,
Yeah, like Henderson, to be fair,
mm,
puts himself about. He put in a shift as he always does, but yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah.
missed that a bit. But we're talking about Liverpool potentially missing out on Champions League. Well, who knows? They might miss out on Europe altogether. Meanwhile, we've got Newcastle, who look like they might make a strong push for European football next season. Obviously, Anthony, you're up in Newcastle at the moment. Been up there for the last couple of years now or so. Um, what do you think of Newcastle this season as it pertains to chasing European places next season?
Listen, I I knew it was coming. I did. I think we all knew it was coming, but I did not know it was coming so soon. These men are serious and they're here to stay. Uh, if we look at hang on, let me pull up the Premier League table for last season, yeah, because I believe that they're getting Europe this season.
Mm,
Well, I think that they could. If we look at obviously top four, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, yeah, Arsenal finished fifth, United finished sixth, right?
mm,
I don't think Newcastle finished above any of those teams. If anything, I think they're most likely to finish behind Liverpool.
agreed.
I look at the teams just above that. West Ham, Leicester, Brighton. Brighton are the ones in best form out of them, but they've just lost Graham Potter, and although they're still playing well, I feel like their team is not to the level of quality to sustain a European title charge or a European spot charge, the European position charge. Newcastle, on the other hand, their squad is good. It's young. It's talented. It's surprisingly deep, and I think they've got quality players in every area of the field. So they've got a solid centre back in Dan Burn. They've got a Champions League quality midfielder, in my opinion, in Bruno Guimaraes. And we all know how good Callum Wilson is as a striker. And Alexander Isak, although I don't think he'll be a gunman anytime soon, as in this season or next, touch wood, I'm right about that. I can see him coming good, man. And the thing is, since they're Newcastle and they haven't been going too well, they're just quietly going about their business, man. Slapping up teams by 4 or 5 goals every week and just moving up, man. I wonder when people will notice and be like, "Yo, whoa, these man are putting together a European charge." But what about you, Curtis? What's your thoughts on the rise in Geordies? Okay, no problem. Yeah, yeah. As well as that, I don't know. Eddie Howe, he's doing a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong. Again, I feel like it could be a kind of thing, kind of like when Chelsea did they first hire when Abramovich took over. Was it via Spurs? But it was Ranieri, yeah. So I think it could be another one of those situations. Anyhow, he's doing a fantastic job, but I think maybe he'll eventually hit ceiling.
Mm,
Where that ceiling is, I don't know.
yeah.
I reckon it'll probably be around about Champions League.
Hmm.
They'll hit a ceiling with him, and then they'll upgrade onto the next big manager who can push them on into that next stratosphere.
No, you're right.
But honestly,
I
I thought it'd be like at least another season before they were in this kind of position, and it looks like they're here
I
now.
think just as we were speaking about Forest not learning from the mistakes of previous teams when they've been promoted and just changed their team completely,
Mm.
I think Newcastle, and they're an example of how you're foolish enough not to have learned from the failures of other teams. Yeah,
Oh,
Newcastle
yeah,
are the prime example of doing everything right and learning from the failures of other teams because they've come in with all this
mm.
money. Everyone knows they have money. Everyone's trying to charge them a premium. Everyone's trying to run them up, run them up because they've got their technically they're owned by they're the richest sports team in the world officially. Like they're the richest
Yeah,
sports team in the
yeah.
world by far. Yeah,
Well, they've got they've got
yeah,
the
yeah. But
share.
yeah, so by virtue of their owner,
Following.
yeah. So it we've seen in the past teams just go out and splash this money and they're trying to get all these like older aging superstars who were once great players but now like they're just looking for a payday and it never goes well. I mean QPR done it and maybe not to the same extent but
Yeah.
we've seen it happen before, right? And these
Mm-hmm.
teams have often made this mistake in the past. But what we're seeing, which is so brilliant from Newcastle, is they got in Eddie Howe last season, proven Premier League manager, good Premier League experience, gets his teams playing good football. They get him in.
Yeah.
They put some money into it. Don't worry, they put like 50 mil on Gimaresh and 40
40.
and 60 on
And then like
Ishak and
70, 60 or 70
yeah,
from
who's a
his
young player, so he'll have
I think
some
it was
resale
like I
value.
think it was like 30. It was like 30 or something for Dan
Yeah, and
Burn.
then what, like another 25, 30
Uh,
on Kieran Trippier. So they spent money. They have spent
yeah,
money, but they
yeah,
spent
yeah.
it wisely. They spent it on a little
Very
mix of like
wisely.
some just really good international
Yes.
talent in
Young
Gimaresh,
talent,
and
yeah,
then a little bit of proven
and
Premier League experience
experience.
in Kieran Trippier and Dan Burn, and then a
Um,
good young hungry striker in Isak who has been quite highly rated for the most part, but
he is. I mean, like he didn't have. He wasn't playing well. He wasn't because obviously he was linked to Arsenal for a while,
mm,
and thank God we never pulled that trigger. Because we wouldn't have had
yeah,
Jesus.
true.
Just saying. Yeah.
All right then. So we're approaching the end. So as we always do at the end of every episode, it's time for our weekly
Nice.
predictions. So just to explain for anyone who's
Yeah.
not seen it before, myself, Anthony, and Steve, who's not here with us today, we all pick. We have 5 fixtures, usually Premier League fixtures, but I think over the next few weeks we'll probably branch out of the Premier League a bit more. But you have 5 fixtures, and you have to predict the result of each fixture, right? So you get 3 points for a win. You get 1 point. So you get 3 points if you get the full result correct. So if I say Arsenal to beat Liverpool 3-2, I would get 3 points for that. Then you get 1 point if you just get the result right. So if I said Arsenal to beat Liverpool 2-1, because they won 3-2, I get 1 point for that because I still got the outcome right. And then obviously if you don't get
Mm.
the result or the outcome right, then you get no points. And that all goes into a
Super.
league table. And at various points, what we'll do is check-ins throughout the season. Whoever's bottom of the table will have to
Mhm.
do a forfeit. And then at the end of the season,
Or if you missed the
or if you miss the
podcast,
podcast, there's
just
fines coming in
filming.
for missing filming. And then at the end of the
Mm.
season, whoever's bottom of the league is going to have to do a forfeit, and whoever's top will get something. If you have any suggestions for what that something should be, drop a comment in the comment section, and we'll consider whatever the suggestions are. But that being said,
Okay.
Anthony, do you want to give us a
Should I jump
give us an
into?
update on the
I'll
table,
jump
and then
into.
we can go through the fixtures for this week.
Okay. So last week, uh, we weren't able to get an episode out, but we did do our predictions, and we did record them. We had our predictions, and we've totaled up the scores already. So last week, Curtis, on the first episode one, after that, Kurtz had 5 points. He got two right two right results and one correct score. That's given him 5 points to 10. Last week I also had 5 points, but I got one correct score
Mm.
and one correct
Two correct
prediction
predictions.
so far. Although, oh, sorry, two correct predictions. So I've got 4 points. No, because
Oh,
I
you
got
got
four
four.
points
Oh,
last week.
fairs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I didn't get a correct score, but uh, I did predict 2-1 United, who are, and it's currently 2-1 in the. Give me a second. In the 69th minute.
Oh,
Lord.
it's tight.
Um, uh, but I'm on 9 points, and Dad's not doing too hot right now. Had two in the first week, and now he's got six in the second week. But we've got our games to predict this week.
Mm.
So, Curtis, I'll ask you first, seeing as
Yeah.
you were
Funnily
second last
enough,
week, right?
the man who's going to have to do a forfeit next week, Steve, has just walked into the house. He's laughing because he knows the forfeit's coming. Um, but
Yeah, you're in trouble, big man.
but he's sent through his predictions, so we'll tally all that up. It's looking. By the way, Dad, it's United are 2-1 up on Everton, which you had as 2-1. If that comes through, then you've got you're on 9 points.
You're only 2 points
You're two
behind
points off me in
Curtis.
the league, and then 3 points off Anthony, who will
Mm.
be top currently. So you've had it's a good week for predictions if it comes through for you.
Are we doing month by month or?
Yeah, we'll do end of the month. We'll do a check-in and forfeits and all of that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Anthony, take us away with
Uh,
the read out Dad's predictions
so,
first, and then we'll go from there.
we decided to predict Brentford Brighton, and Dad's gone with a 1-1.
Mm.
We were going to do Leicester Crystal Palace. Dad's gone with a 2-1 to Palace. Tottenham Everton. Dad's predicted a 3-1
Mm.
to Tottenham. Man United Newcastle. Dad's predicted a 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
And Liverpool v Man City. Dad's predicted a 2-2. Desmond. Now, guys,
Right. So
I've just read out the fixtures. What are you going to go for Brentford Brighton?
Brentford at home. I've backed Brentford twice this season and they've let me down. But as good a side as Brighton are, I back Brentford to get a point at home. So I'm gonna go 2-2 in that game.
2-2. Okay. I think we're all going to end up going draws then. Leicester Crystal Palace.
Palace looked good against Forest, but then they threw away the game against who they play this weekend? Bournemouth, which is a poor defeat. Yeah, Leicester.
Oh wait, Leicester.
I
Yeah,
meant to say
yeah,
Leicester.
yeah.
I don't really like Palace away from home at the moment. I bet against them week before last and it came through for me. So I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester at home.
Okay. 2-1 Leicester. Tottenham Everton.
Tottenham
at home.
3-1 Tottenham. That's an easy one for me.
Just like
Yeah.
that. 3-1. Okay. Man United Newcastle. The second big game.
Actually, can I change my Tottenham pick to 2-0 Tottenham? Yeah, I don't. Do you know what? That Conte defense, man. I don't want to put money on, well, not money, but I don't want to put a prediction on Everton to score. So, give me a 2-0.
Okay. United Newcastle at Old Trafford.
At Old Trafford, I'm gonna say 2-1 United. They're looking decent now.
Okay.
Decent.
Yeah,
Looking decent.
I back that. And Newcastle away from home, they've not quite solidified that away form yet. And last but not least, Liverpool City.
That's at Anfield.
The old rivals. Yeah.
I'm going 3-1 City. If you can't beat Arsenal away from home, I don't.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I think what?
Curtis, SD cards full. My SD cards full.
Alright, cool. Don't worry.
Got a little bit over. I think it stopped recording at like 5:51 or something like that. So before the predictions started. Anyway,
Okay.
go on.
Well, I'll finish off the predictions then. So, to finish off my predictions, I've got Liverpool. City to beat Liverpool away 3-1. Now, Anthony, if you want to read me out your
Let me
predictions,
jump
and
into
I'll
mine.
read them
Yeah.
out.
So I'm gonna say 1-1, just like that. I'm gonna go the 1-1 Brentford Brighton. Leicester Palace. I really don't like Leicester this season. I want to say 2-1 Palace, but I think I'm going to go with a 1-1 just to be different. So someone's definitely losing points on that. Tottenham Everton. I think it's gonna be a tight game. I think they will concede. I'm gonna go 2-1 Tottenham. Only because they're at home, but again, I do think they'll concede. Man United Newcastle is gonna be a tricky one, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Man U win. Do you know what? I'm gonna go 2-0 Man United.
2-0 United to beat Newcastle at home. Okay,
Yeah.
fairs.
At
Yeah.
OT. Yeah. I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna go 3-0.
3-0. No Liverpool goals at home. Boy.
Yeah. Nah. Actually, no. Change that to 3-1.
3-1. All right. So you're joining me on that one.
Just because at Anfield, just at Anfield, someone's gonna pop. Something's gonna be. I think Salah might score.
Yeah.
Dragging through the as well.
All right. Well, that will round off our predictions. Obviously, we'll come back with all the scores and the updates of the league table next week. Unfortunately, Anthony's camera, the SD card, has run out of memory, even after I told him to clear it before we started. So, unfortunately, you don't get to see.
Rolling my eyes profusely.
Unfortunately, you don't get to see the smile of a very happy Gooner today, but you do get to see the smile of a very happy QPR fan who are joint top of the championship, even though we're technically third place on goal difference.
Really?
Yeah. Third on goal difference, but joint top.
Wow. Look at you.
So, from one top of the league, from the other top of the league, thank you very much for watching this week, and we'll check in with you next week. Peace.